The sun over Xerxes forecast a pale, bluish hue across the embassy plaza. It was midday, and for a moment peace looked possible. A Terran flag rippled beside the Empire's obsidian crest, both suspended in still air by magnetic tension. The delegation's voices echoed low over polished stone. Behind thick panes of crystal glass, inside the Earth Embassy's annex, Ambassador Kaito Tran leaned forward across the negotiating table, calm but watchful. His daughter, Amelia, played in the plaza's designated civilian zone, a secure garden loop with gravity boundaries, one peacekeeper drone hovering above her. She spun in delight, holding her drone controller, the toy buzzing lazily through the warm air. The protests began as distant murmurs. Outside the boundary wall, 50 Empire citizens marched in tight clusters, chanting in their native tongues. They held signs, some digital, others painted with slurs. An Empire security unit formed a barrier with riot shields. Kaito noted the sudden shift in tone. Chanting turned aggressive. Stones flew. Then came a hiss. Smoke bomb. Sirens. Inside the loop, Amelia paused. The drone stuttered. Her smile faded. Something pulsed behind the crowd. Metal-clad riot enforcers surged forward, weapons raised. Kaito stood abruptly. "What the hell is happening out there?" One of the Earth envoys tapped her earpiece. "Drone feeds gone. Local override." The Empire's security line collapsed. Protesters were shoved back. One of the enforcers shouted something in panic, pointing at Amelia. She took a frightened step backward, raising her hands. Then a beam of concentrated plasma tore through her chest. She collapsed. Silence fell. Seconds later, the footage hit the net. On Earth, the transmission hit every device simultaneously. No filters. No preamble. A child unarmed. Executed in full view of state security. Labeled as a potential insurgent. By nightfall, Amelia Tran's name had crossed 10 billion lips. There were no riots. Not at first. Only stillness, followed by a primal, collective cry. Candlelight vigils flooded the streets of every megacity. Mars colonies wept. Orbital stations dipped their banners. The Terranet blazed with rage. Hashtags morphed into vows. The United Terran Congress issued a 48-hour demand for acknowledgement, apology, and reparations. The Empire responded with a 2-line statement. Incident classified as internal unrest. Use of force was justified under Code 739C. Galactic sovereignty observed. It was the last message they would send Earth in peace. Commander Elise Rourke watched the footage once. Just once. She sat alone in her war room aboard the TCS Sentinel, lights dimmed, eyes locked on the frozen final frame. Amelia's limp body crumpled on the stones. She said nothing. Her fingers were steady as she closed the screen. She stood, pulled her long officer's coat from the rack, and walked to the command platform. Admiral Singh awaited her. His expression was a taut line. "They're calling it an administrative failure," he said. Elise looked him dead in the eye. "A child was murdered by state troops. There's no bureaucracy that covers that. They won't back down. I don't need them to." She paused. "Is the fleet mobilized? Phase 1 assets are in orbit. Eclipse is ready to initiate pending authorization." She gave a single nod. "Bring me the President." Aboard Earth's orbital command, the President's face flickered onto the holoscreen. Elise saluted. "Madam President, I request executive clearance to enact Operation Eclipse under Section 8 of the Terran Defense Charter." "You know what that means?" "Yes," Elise replied calmly. "I know exactly what it means." The President's voice lowered. "You'll be initiating full-scale retaliation. There's no diplomatic return from this. There's no diplomacy left when a child's death is justified with a policy code." A beat of silence. "You have your clearance. God help us all." Elise turned away from the screen. "We don't need gods," she muttered. "We need memory." The message Elise sent was not wrapped in protocol. No diplomatic stamps. No encryption. It was a public feed, broadcast on every Empire-accessible channel, language, and medium. Her face was cold, composed, and human. You murdered a child. You stood silent in the face of her death. You justified it with codes. You showed the galaxy what you are. Now we will show them what we are. This is not a declaration of war. This is a declaration of consequence. And consequence, she finished, is human. 6 hours later, Operation Eclipse began. In deep void space, the stealth fleet Valkyrie wing breached the Xerxes 4 relay station. They didn't fire a shot. They disabled comms using zero-point disruptors and inserted a digital ghost to loop a fake broadcast of system normality. The system was now blind, mute, and alone. Earth's battlecruisers emerged moments later, shattering through the artificial gravity wells with kinetic wake. Xerxes IV's orbital towers never fired. By the time they knew what was happening, they were already gone, vaporized from orbit. No ground forces were deployed. No demands issued. They struck and vanished. Back on Earth, Elise stood at the window of her command center. Rain slid down the glass like the thin lines of falling stars. Behind her, the reports began pouring in: Empire fleet movements, border tension, civilian panic in Empire fringe systems. Elise said nothing. She reached into her coat pocket, withdrew a small plastic bracelet, beads shaped like stars and moons. Faded, clearly handmade. She rolled it slowly between her fingers. Then she closed her hand, hard, until her knuckles turned white. By dawn, Verax Quen stood before the High Council of the Empire. The chamber was silent as he reviewed the footage of Earth's retaliatory strike. The elderly arch-administrator's mandibles clicked slowly. Emotion-driven savages, one counselor hissed. They act like animals. No, Verax replied slowly. They act like humans. And we just gave them a reason to remember what they're capable of. The stars above Xerxes 4 had barely returned to their usual glow when the second strike came. It wasn't brute force, it was precision. Clean. Surgical. A black ripple in space formed just beyond the planet's orbital threshold. Earth's Valkyrie wing, 5 stealth destroyers, folded into normal space like silent wraiths. They didn't announce themselves. They didn't need to. By the time the Empire registered their presence, 4 comm relays, 3 orbital batteries, and 1 planetary defense grid had already ceased to exist. There were no survivors on the command decks. No chance to surrender. The message was simple. You were warned. On Earth, Commander Elise Rourke paced the observation deck of the TCS Sentinel, flanked by a silent bridge crew. Her eyes were fixed on a glowing holographic map of Empire territory, slowly being overlaid with red zones, targets already neutralized. Status, she said without turning. Xerxes 4 is dark. 0 transmissions. Our ghost relay is active. They think everything's stable for now. Elise folded her arms. They'll know by tomorrow. Then they'll retaliate. They'll try. A soft chime signaled an incoming private message. The AI core illuminated. Aegis had awakened. Aegis wasn't like other systems. It didn't speak unless spoken to. It didn't guess. It calculated, and it remembered. Its voice came through the bridge softly, but with clarity that pierced silence. Predictive modeling engaged. Current probability of full-scale conflict, 97.4%. Suggested operational doctrine, complete tactical domination before media containment fails. Elise exhaled, slow. Pull in all active units. Prepare Phase 2. Confirmed, Aegis replied. Would you like me to simulate alternative outcomes? No. She turned away from the display. I'm not interested in maybes. We deal in certainty now. Empire systems along the Saren line began falling one by one. Not with invasion. Not with conquest. With silence. One planet lost power for 12 hours. The next, its orbital trade routes collapsed under EMP strikes. The third never woke from sleep mode, its AI grid hijacked and its planetary shields frozen open. No blood. No screams. Just the cold precision of a species that had decided. On Valor Prime, Arch-Administrator Verax stood before a wall of screens showing grainy intelligence, destroyed beacons, intercepted comms, ghost signals bouncing through known space. His advisors barked reports, but none offered solutions. "They're not attacking to win ground," one said. "They're erasing infrastructure. Logistics, sensors, communications." Another stepped forward. "We can't predict them. Their AI, whatever it is, outmaneuvers us every time." Verax didn't blink. "Because it's not just a machine. It's an extension of their rage. It doesn't just think. It remembers." In Earth's high orbit, TCS Oracle executed a long-range insertion. Inside its darkened war room, Elise stood alone, watching a three-dimensional projection of the galaxy. Red dots pulsed like dying stars. At the center was a face, Amelia's. She didn't speak. She didn't have to. Aboard the Empire's fringe outpost Vexus 7, a planetary governor received a direct message. Not a threat. A promise. The message was embedded with coordinates. Coordinates of cities she knew, her cities not yet attacked. And below that, one sentence. "Evacuate. You have 20 hours. This is not your war." She read the message twice. Then she activated the evacuation beacon. By the third day, whispers spread through the outer systems. Earth doesn't conquer. Earth erases. Entire species began questioning loyalty. Many had never seen Earth's fleets before. Now they saw what they could do without even landing troops. The Threxians, a warrior species long under Empire thumb, sent a transmission directly to Elisa's command. The Threxian general, a feline humanoid with dark striped armor, spoke in clipped tones. "You fight like animals," he said. Elise nodded once. "We fight like parents." The general paused. "We want in. You're not allies," she warned. "You're not brothers. You'll fight under our command. No conquest. No rewards. Only justice." "We don't need reward," the general replied. "Only revenge." She extended the terms. "No raids. No civilians. Only military targets." The Threxian hesitated. "That is acceptable. Then welcome to the storm." But not every strike came clean. On the Empire planet Soriek, Earth launched a kinetic strike on a weapons depot embedded beneath a civilian settlement. Intel showed the depot controlled orbital defense for an entire sector. Delay meant risk to 3 fleets. Elise authorized the strike. The blast flattened half a city. Casualty estimates, 13,200 civilians. It was the first moment of hesitation. "People are talking," Admiral Singh said quietly. "Some back home are asking if this is justice, or something else." Elise stared through the viewport, her reflection faint against the stars. She reached into her coat pocket, drew out a small bracelet, plastic beads, worn and uneven. Amelia's. She held it in her hand, fingers tightening. "There's no justice," she said. "Not for her. Only consequence." In a silent war room on Valor Prime, Verax reviewed footage of the Soriek strike. He tapped his claw against the metal desk, once, then again. He turned to his aides. "Their commander, this Rourke, does not seek peace. She is what the humans call a reckoning." "Then what do we do?" Verax's eyes gleamed. "We do what they expect least. We offer peace." Hours later, a diplomatic vessel entered Earth space under neutral flag. It carried no weapons. No encryption. Just a single message. Verax's voice. Smooth. Composed. "We regret the tragedy on Xerxes 4. It was never our will. Let us meet and speak again." Earth High Command debated for 4 hours. Elise said nothing until the room fell silent. Then, "He doesn't want peace. He wants a pause. To rebuild. To wait for us to fracture." A general frowned. "Still, what if he's sincere?" Elise turned, voice low. "Then let him prove it." She approved the delegation, with backup units shadowing the diplomats, hidden. The meeting lasted 43 minutes. On the 44th, the delegation was dead. Poisoned wine. Razor drones. Every human ambassador was gone. The Empire had struck back, not on the battlefield, but at the table. Back aboard the Sentinel, Elise stood still as the death report played. "Who authorized the meeting?" Singh asked. "I did," she said flatly. "But I needed them to prove what they are." She faced the camera. Cold. Focused. Aegis. Online. Initiate Black Rain Protocol. Full deployment. Target? All of them. Valor Prime burned. The night sky over the Empire's capital had never known war, until now. Its golden towers, monuments to order and longevity, split and crumbled as kinetic rods fell from orbit like divine spears. The city's planetary shields had collapsed hours earlier under coordinated strikes from Earth's Aegis-directed fleet and Threxian skirmish wings. A storm raged in silence from space. Debris spun in zero gravity. The void lit with the last flashes of failed resistance. In the command deck of the TCS Sentinel, Commander Elise Rourke stood motionless, her arms crossed behind her back as reports came in. All primary resistance neutralized. Threxian infantry now sweeping the outer domes. Valor Citadel breached. Imperial command grid offline. Aegis confirms, no coordinated enemy defense remains. She nodded once. Do not occupy. Secure, disarm, extract. And Xerxes? Still unaccounted for. He was running. Arch-Administrator Xerxes Quen, once the untouchable mind behind the Empire's order, now stumbled through the collapsing underlevels of the Valor Citadel. His ornate robes were torn, blood matted one side of his head. Alarms screamed through the hallways. Flame licked at the ceiling. His guards were dead. His shuttle gone. The last loyal officer, a junior envoy named Kever, limped behind him. There in the palace, Kever panted. We have minutes. Xerxes didn't look back. Signal the neutral zone. Request emergency political asylum under. No one's answering. Silence answered them. Then a single sound echoed overhead, the boom of a dropship descending. Xerxes stopped. His voice dropped to a whisper. They're here. Elise descended into the ruins of the citadel with a small tactical escort. She wore no helmet, only her earth blue long coat and a reinforced combat harness. Her pistol stayed holstered. Threxian guards flanked her, claws clicking against the steel. The chamber they entered had once been the Empire's seat of diplomacy. Now, half the ceiling lay open to the void above, starlight pouring through. Xerxes stood waiting, hands bound behind him. Knees bruised. One eye swollen shut. You could have run, Elise said. I did. She stepped forward, her voice steady. You orchestrated the death of a child. You poisoned our envoys. You sent assassins. I protected order, Xerxes replied. Your kind, your chaos, threatened everything. You murdered a child, she repeated. Xerxes met her gaze, defiant. She was collateral. You've killed tens of thousands now. You call it numbers. I call it names. She pulled something from her coat. A small, crude bracelet. Stars and moons. Plastic. She placed it gently on the table between them. Xerxes said nothing. She was 8, Elise continued. Her name was Amelia. And everything we did, everything we became, was because of what you did to her. And now what? Xerxes asked. You kill me and crown yourself? Elise shook her head. We're not here to replace you. She turned to her lieutenant. Extract him. Cell transport. Prep him for exile protocol. Exile? Xerxes scoffed. Cowardice. No, she said. It's judgment. You'll spend the rest of your life orbiting a black hole. Alone. With your order. With silence. As they dragged him away, Xerxes screamed one last warning. You think this ends with me? You think you won? You've become monsters. Elise didn't respond. She stared up through the ruined ceiling, eyes locked on the stars. In the days that followed, Empire-controlled space folded inwards. Without its command structure, loyalist systems declared neutrality or submitted unconditionally. Earth did not invade. It didn't install governors or raise flags. Instead, humanitarian dropships arrived. Medical teams. Translators. Engineers. Aid, not banners. When asked for terms, Earth gave only one. Never again. In a broadcast seen across 1,000 systems, Elise stood before a simple podium on the lunar assembly deck. No fanfare. No anthem. Just silence. "We were not seeking empire," she said. "We sought only memory. We did not destroy them because we hated them. We destroyed them because they taught us we could be forgotten." She paused. "And now the galaxy will remember." A month passed. Then 2. The war was over, but the aftermath rippled. Some systems called Earth saviors. Others tyrants. In dark corners of space, insurgents whispered of vengeance. Some feared Earth's restraint wouldn't last. But Earth did not expand. It did not demand tribute. It simply watched. And left a warning beacon in every liberated system. Humanity remembers. One cold morning, Elise stood alone in the memorial garden of Earth. It was early, the sun still rising over the Pacific horizon. White stones stretched in perfect lines. In the center, a small marble pillar bore only one name. Amelia Tran. Beneath it, in steel engraving. "Because of you, they will never forget." She knelt. The bracelet was still in her hand. "I tried to give you justice," she whispered. "But what I gave was punishment." She closed her eyes. Behind her, the world moved on. But for one moment, the universe stood still.